Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw that 6 days of battle had completed. The 7th day commenced with the Kaurava army standing in a mandala formation, which is a circular formation. The Pandavas were in Vajra Vyuha, which is the form of a thunderbolt. Both the formations were impenetrable. Duels began all across the battlefield. Nakula and Sahadeva had fought their uncle Shalya. Duryodhana had attacked Dhrishtadyumna. Arjuna had taken on Vinda and Anuvinda. Drona had fought with Drupada as well as Virata. Drona was too powerful for Virata. Virata's son Shankha came to his assistance. After a daunting fight, Drona shot an arrow that pierced the armor of Shankha. Another arrow took his life. Virata was distraught. Now, Virata had lost 3 of his sons on the battlefield. The Mandala Vyuha of the Kauravas was quite formidable. Arjuna was annoyed that Bhishma had made the task so difficult for them. But he started using his divine astras. Within no time, Arjuna had shattered their formation. There was panic in the Kaurava army due to the sudden dispersal. Duryodhana was furious at the prowess of Arjuna. Susharma of the Trigarthas came to protect the formation. Bhishma was showering arrows with renewed fury. Arjuna was replying to all the arrows at unbelievable speed. The duel was so intense that everybody stopped fighting and were watching the fight between Bhishma and Arjuna. It was spectacular. Śikhaṇḍi and Ashwathama had a fierce duel. Śikhaṇḍi had injured Ashwathama on his forehead. Ashwathama had to retire. Satyaki was fighting with Alambusha. Alambusha, although was a Rakshasa, could not bear the power of Satyaki. He had to run away as well. Bhima's favorite part of the war was destroying the elephant army. He was scattering the elephants hither and thither. Ghatotkacha was attacking Bhagadatta, who was riding on a very elegant elephant. But Ghatotkacha looked larger than Bhagadatta and the elephant together. He had wounded Bhagadatta and defeated him. Bhishma had decided to get closer to Yudhishthira today. He was rampaging the Pandava army along the way. Arjuna noticed this, but before he could do anything, Susharma and the Trigartha brothers were challenging him. They were taking him away on purpose from the vicinity of Bhishma. Arjuna had no choice but to fight with the Trigarthas. At the same time, Śikhaṇḍi was trying to get closer to Bhishma. He kept trying again and again to challenge Bhishma but was getting diverted. This time it was Shalya who was challenging him and diverting him away from Bhishma. Śikhaṇḍi was trouble for Bhishma. He remembered his one previous birth. He was none other than Amba in his previous birth. Amba was the sister of Ambika and Ambalika. Years ago, Bhishma had abducted these 3 sisters to get them married to his step-brother Vichitravirya. But Amba had given her heart to Prince of Salva and she wanted to marry him. When Bhishma came to know about this, he had respectfully sent her to Prince Salva. But then Salva refused to marry her because Bhishma had defeated him. So Amba had returned to Bhishma and asked him to marry her since he had abducted her. But because of his vow, Bhishma was unable to marry her. This scorned Amba badly. She was so angry and infuriated that he had disrupted her wedding. So she vowed to be the cause for his death. After an intense penance, she had given up that body and was reborn as Śikhaṇḍi. Bhishma knew this and wouldn't fight with Śikhaṇḍi as he knew he was Amba, a woman in his previous birth. 7th day of the war had ended. Though most duels were won by the Pandavas, they had incurred huge losses for their army. Yudhishthira was thinking. He thought this battle cannot keep going on like this. Unless the grand old Bhishma was remediated, there was no way the war was ever going to come to an end. With Bhishma as commander-in-chief, there was no way the Pandavas could ever win the war. So what are our takeaways from this story? No war has ever ended without devastation on both the sides. But peace does not mean to stop wars, but it means to stop injustice and oppression. This war was to end all other wars. Another thing to note here is that every action comes with its result, whether we like it or not. Bhishma did not choose his situations. He had abducted the princesses as per the asking of his mother Satyavati. His actions had their own repercussions. Bhishma had to face it one day or the other, and that day was coming closer and closer. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om.